Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Amanda and I am a neurodivergent woman. I have autism, ADHD, a very rare memory disorder called SDAM, and aphantasia, which is the inability to visualize in my mind's eye. I have videos on all these topics, got playlists, so make sure you check out my other content and hit the subscribe button. I really wanted to do a video on aphantasia, but I feel like this is just a little bit more important right now. So I will have a video on aphantasia coming up soon. I kind of wanted to rant about YouTube and algorithms, but insert rant here and we're going to just move on. Oh my gosh, gotta love it. Okay, so in my last video, I talked about, I'm reading the title, and it may change, we change titles as YouTube creators sometimes, but relearning life skills because of dissociating as an undiagnosed autistic. This is something that I have been struggling with for a while, for a couple months now, and I've been working on trying to figure out a like words for it. I've been feeling it. It's been a lived experience, but I didn't have a way to describe it other than this dissociation and like, oh my gosh, why is things that I used to be able to do so well so difficult now? Like, what the heck? So I learned yesterday, it's called autistic regression. And it's something that they've talked about in children now for a very long time, but it's just now being talked about for in adults. So autistic regression can and does happen in adults too. A lot of times before there was that much research done on autism, it was one of the reasons why they thought autism was something you could catch, and they didn't realize it was a different neurotype. It's just how our brains are, we are born with them, because a lot of children would present, babies, I'm talking about babies and infants, would present neurotypical, and then at age around 1, 2, sometimes 3, they would have a regression and all of a sudden present autistic. Well, now this isn't science. This is me like putting all the pieces together, but sounds legit. Even babies and infants and toddlers learn how to mask. That has been proven. For safety reasons, for, they're copying, they are like, all babies learn by mimicry. But if your senses are overloaded, no matter what your age, you're going to eventually reach a burnout and boom, autistic regression. And then all of a sudden, this child that seemed normal is now called autistic. They were autistic all along. Nobody just knew it. Well, anyway, same thing happens for adults. So what I've been experiencing, there were things that I'm like, I used to be able to do these things, like no problem. Why am I now struggling? Like, it's been a lived experience. I just didn't know. I didn't have a word for it, and I hadn't really heard other autistic people talk about it in a way that was relating to me. Then I started to kind of like, okay, there's some other people talking about how they also lost skills. And then I finally came across autistic regression, and it's like, yes. So what happens is we learn with our masked self, even these infants and 1-year-olds, toddlers, we're learning how to do things in life masked. And a lot of times people think the mask only relates to social skills, but we learn everything as our masked self. We're learning cooking and cleaning, and I'm listing off jobs that I do as a stay-at-home mom, but you get the picture. Whatever kinds of things that you are learning how to do as an adult, budgeting checkbooks, driving, mowing the lawn, all these adulting things. Once you get a diagnosis and it's like the information is unlocked in your brain that, oh, you have a different neurotype, and you've been forcing yourself to do things in a society that expects it to be done this way, but it doesn't really work for our brains. Often what will happen is burnout, which is what I've been experiencing, and then a regression of skills, because now we are now having to learn how to redo all of these things with a new, unmasked, authentic self. So if you are having a regression of skills, it is okay. It's normal. We will relearn and we will get back up to a new normal. It's never going to look the way it did before, because what we were doing before was unsustainable. And I've shared things like, even, learning how to shower. I think I talked about this in my last video. Again, I have a memory disorder, so my videos, I talk off the cuff, and sometimes I forget what I've said in them. But in my last, I think I said this in my last video. Otherwise, it was on TikTok. I'm like, showering used to be no big deal. Like, come on, I'm a grown up. I mean, I know how to shower, but all of a sudden showers have been hard. They've been struggle. And it's not like I've literally forgotten how to shower. It's just now all of a sudden some of these skills that I've had as an adult are now hard and I'm struggling. And I realized that I kind of sort of dissociated while taking a shower. The hair that falls down and touches my skin caused such sensory overload that I would scratch my skin until it almost would bleed. And I didn't know other people didn't do this. I mean, because who talks about that, right? And I thought it was just like, oh, itchy hair, scratch, scratch, scratch. And then like I would have claw marks on my arm. Well, it kind of disassociated from that even being a thing, I guess. It's kind of hard to explain. But now it's like I'm more aware of the sensory experience happening to me. And so I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't really necessarily good for my skin. I need to find another way to do this. And so for me, I found that using a really rough washcloth on my skin feels good. It kind of erases the tickle of the hair. Some autistic people actually report that water droplets from the shower feel painful on their skin. For me, I don't get that pain. Hair on my skin feels like spiders crawling all over me. Nobody wants that. I love to cook, and I've been struggling with cooking all of a sudden. So again, it's relearning how to do these skills and taking it one day at a time, having a lot of grace with ourselves, and we will get there as a community. And if you are the loved one or friend of somebody who is a recently diagnosed, whether realized autistic or medically diagnosed autistic person, please be patient with them and understand they're not just like suddenly becoming more autistic. We are really going through and learning how to be authentically ourselves. And I can't really continue this video without commenting on the fact that it is a privilege to be able to be an unmasked autistic person. Our society is not ready for us to be unmasked. And for a large group of autistic people, their lives would actually be in danger if they are unmasked. A lot of people of color, if all of a sudden they're like flapping and talking to themselves and, in stores to regulate their bodies, they would be perceived as a threat in a lot of communities, unfortunately. So it's important for conversations like this to happen so that more and more people can be unmasked in public, and that people can see that this is a healthy way for autistic and ADHD, sometimes too, people to express themselves and to normalize autism, so that way everybody can have that freedom to unmask, because it is really better for our mental health to not try to conform to the society's expectations. Now, I'm still trying, like, I don't have all the answers. Like, right now, I'm very lucky. I'm in a position that I do not have to work. I don't know how I would hold a job very well. I'm brilliant. I don't mean that egotistically, but I legit have a very high IQ. I'm smart. I learn very well. I learned how to put up 2 YouTube channels by myself. I've taught myself how to crochet. I can teach myself many skills. I've done that over my lifetime: mosaicing, painting. I like. I'm If I was put into a work situation, office situation, I would be able to learn the things very quickly. But the problem is all of the other things that you need to do a work, to work in various jobs would be so much of a struggle for me that it would be hard for me to maintain a job. Having someone else set my schedule, communication problems. I Neurodivergent and neurotypical people, we just often don't communicate well yet. I was about to go into another tangent of a story, but I'm gonna save that for another video. I might turn that one into a short. Hold on. I've lost my train of thought. This right here, right? This is a neurodivergent thing. Like, I cannot always hold a continuous conversation. Oftentimes, I have tangents and lose my train of thought while I'm talking. It's so common. I also have auditory processing disorder, which is part of my autism, which means that sometimes when somebody says something to me, it takes me a while to actually process the sounds and turn it into something that makes sense for me to be able to deal with that information. And I also process just general information slow at all. Once I've processed it, I can work with that information in a really intelligent way, but sometimes it takes hours or days for me to really process new information. Anyway, I kind of tangented off of the autism regression, but it's just having more awareness of our brains and what we are good at and what we aren't good at, I think goes a long way. Thank you so much for watching this video. Until the next one, bye guys.